To a few of us here today, this is a solemn and most momentous occasion. And yet in the history of our nation, it is a commonplace occurrence. The orderly transfer of authority, as called for in the Constitution, routinely takes place, as it has for almost 2 centuries, and few of us stop to think how unique we really are. In the eyes of many in the world, this every 4-year ceremony we accept as normal is nothing less than a miracle.
I first became aware of him from a political standpoint 4 years before that. And this is when, and I spent some time with him by the way, with Al Bloomingdale at the convention, and that was 4 years earlier. Here's a guy that was ambitious, and he was somebody that, as we know, as governor of California, he'd done certain things. But he had an unbelievable interest in government. And what I couldn't understand is how this guy became so smart. I mean, here I saw him as a sort of Western cowboy actor when I met him. And then all of a sudden, he's very articulate. He can talk about all kinds of things. I wouldn't have been surprised to hear him speak Russian, Chinese, French, or whatever. But the man became terribly well informed, and this is a great compliment, I think. He was a walking, talking encyclopedia after a while. You don't become president every day, and they thought, let's do something special. And so the idea was to invite as many friends as they could get into any one house or whatever. And so they did. They had 60 people that they invited to sit down formal dinner at Marywood, which was my house. And we had 60 more people that were invited to a private club named Pisces. And at 10 o'clock, the group joined, making a total of 120 at Marywood. And the whole purpose was to celebrate the inauguration of their good friend, Ronald Reagan. Reagan had a number of close friends. And Nancy had a lot fewer. And she had a few lady friends, but this was not, she didn't have the same kind of outgoing personality that her husband did. The whole idea was to invite the people that the Reagans had known for years and that they counted among their very finest friends. And that's what happened. That's the way it happened. And a lot of these were, almost all of them were celebrities one way or the other. The only one that was not invited, but made such an effort to get an invitation that she finally ended up coming to the party, was Estee Lauder. She was absolutely hell-bent on being invited to this party because she wanted to be with the new president. I think she'd met him, but that was about it. Anyway, she finally ended up there, and one of the happy experiences for her, she told me later, was the fact that a picture was taken of her in the background with Reagan in the foreground. And she loved that because it proved that she was there. But everybody else was on a list that would be the logical. If you picked your best friends, these were all his best friends. After the inauguration, there were a number of parties, really wild, fabulous parties. I don't mean wild in a bad way, but wild they were very grand parties. It's like the old-fashioned way of entertaining. I had a very close friend from the time I was 20, 21 years old, and he was almost like a brother for a while. And unfortunately, he was not invited, and I wanted very much for him to be invited because I thought he should have been. He was an actor, a well-known actor. Unfortunately, he was married to President Kennedy's sister, and therefore he was a Democrat, and another reason he wasn't invited. But I was very concerned about it because I did everything I could do to get him invited. He had just had a big blow-up with Frank Sinatra about something that Sinatra was taken out of a situation in which Reagan was going to go to Sinatra's house in Palm Springs. It's a story that was very much publicized. Anyway, Sinatra got very upset with him, and for the rest of his life, Sinatra never had anything to do with him. And Peter was one of the Rat Pack. Peter Lawford was one of the Rat Pack people and very close to Sinatra. And I had met Sinatra originally in December of 1944. I went to his house, Sinatra's house, for Christmas with Peter Lawford. We got along very well, and Sinatra said, "Hey, why don't you come back for New Year's?" And that started a friendship from December, 1944 until 1981 at this party. And every year, for a number of years, I vacationed with Sinatra. And I went on his boat to Roma. We went to Mount Kisco a number of times and stayed with Phyllis and Bennett Cerf, who were mutual friends. And we stayed at the Abel Harriman's. All of these things were all part of a way of life. And Sinatra was absolutely idolized by the Reagans. No question about it.